From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
A federal judge is considering whether to block Montana's new law that bans certain drag performances.
Nobody seems to know exactly what it says.
Plus, a summer bummer for Billings lifeguards.
All that weather certainly hurt our revenue.
And after vandals destroy windows at a historic church, Crow Agency elders are speaking out. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Wednesday, July 27th. I'm Augusta McDonald. We begin in Glendive this morning, where authorities are searching for clues in a puzzling missing persons case. 36-year-old Renee Arcand was last seen 1 month ago. But as Q2's Jackie Coffin reports, the circumstances surrounding the Wisconsin native's disappearance are nothing short of unusual.
This is the last place that anyone saw 36-year-old Renee Arcand. It's the intake campsite about 17 miles north of Glendive, and it's right next to the Yellowstone River. I came out here nearly a month after she went missing to find out what might have happened to Renee.
We've had drones, we've had helicopters, we've had cadaver dogs, side sonar on boats. We just need to find Renee.
Dawson County Sheriff Ross Kanan is doing everything he can to solve a case that has him stumped.
And we've searched north here, all this area, multiple times.
What is known, Arcand, originally from Madison, Wisconsin, was working at the Buffalo Gap Guest Ranch in North Dakota, an hour east of Glendive. Her plan was to go to Oregon, but in the last week of June, she stopped to camp in Glendive with a man she had been working with at the ranch.
This is what we're told where they were.
Later, the man told law enforcement that at the campsite, he went to sleep in Arcand's car with her 2 dogs inside. When he woke up, she was gone. Her car, dogs, and possessions left behind.
One of the bloodhounds picked up her scent by smelling her clothes and knew that she'd went into the water multiple times as well as the toilet multiple times, which makes sense.
The last day she was seen was June 27th, but Arcand's companion didn't report her missing until Friday, June 30th.
So far, this companion story is checked out. Everything's on the table right now, but it seems reasonable why there was a gap in time.
Kanan says there are no eyewitnesses that saw Arcand go into the nearby Yellowstone River, but that's the assumption.
The water level at the end of June was about right up here.
Arcand's case has drawn the attention of other experts in the field, including Charlene Sleeper, who spearheads a Billings-based search group for missing and murdered Indigenous people.
Right now, we're trying to kind of get her case out there and let people know in the region that we are trying to look for her.
Sleeper says while Arcand was not Native American herself, it's important that every person in our state be entitled to safety.
I still have this deep desire to find her.
We hope to find her real soon.
Near Glendive, Jackie Coffin, MTN News.
Jackie also caught up with Renee Arcand's brother, Aaron Arcand, who tells her the family is grateful for everybody working to find his sister. If you have any information about her disappearance, please call the Dawson County Sheriff's Office. That's 406-377-5291. Meanwhile, in Wyoming, authorities are searching for 28-year-old Brianna Mitchell. She was last heard from on Saturday, July 22nd, after her vehicle got stuck in rugged terrain near No Water Trail in Worland. Helicopter search and rescue, bloodhound teams, and dozens of volunteers have been combing the area trying to find her. Mitchell is believed to be barefoot. She's about 5 foot 5 inches tall with brown hair and green eyes. If you have any information, contact the Washakie County Sheriff's Office at 347-2242. We'll continue to follow both of those stories, and we've also got some developments here in Billings with our weather system. Miller, what are we expecting for today?
Well, we're behind a bit of a weak cold front that came through last night, so it's going to bring those temperatures down just a bit today. Some of us seasonal will continue to cool down, some of us below average by Friday, and then we're going to warm right back up again across the weekend. There's a blazing sunrise this morning. Absolutely a gorgeous start. How did we wrap up yesterday? We called for a high of 94 and boom, that's where we hit. Overnight low of 65, so both those temperatures above the norm. Right now we're sitting at, well, hold on. Let's talk about the rain there first. This wasn't supposed to pop up, but I guess I'll talk about it anyway. Half an inch of rainfall so far for the month. It was dry yesterday, but we still have a chance to see some rain today, so we may add a little bit to those totals on the plus side. But for the year, we're still pacing ahead. All right, this is what I wanted to show you. We do have some rain out there. We have a slug of moisture from Marr County or Yeah, Glendive all the way over to Marl County. And it's kind of a broken slug of moisture. It was more of a solid line earlier this morning. We actually had some thunderstorms with it. That should dissipate as we go along this morning, but looks like it may try to fire back up today. We have some more of that moisture coming up from the Gulf, so maybe a better opportunity where we could see some of that rain and maybe some thunderstorms. No severe weather anticipated today, but maybe tomorrow though. Right now we're sitting at 62, humidity sitting at 46%. It's not a bad start this morning at all. Winds out of the west at about 7 miles an hour. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s. So we have a nice little cool down on the way. Still going to be somewhat hot for some today. The weekend's going to be hot. Do we have a lot of rainfall on the forecast as we move forward into August? We'll let you know coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Miller, thank you so much. And we are now approaching a year since the passage of the PACT Act, a game-changing bill that expands health care and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits, Agent Orange, and other toxic chemicals. Hundreds of thousands of veterans have already taken advantage of this program, but as Q2's David J. reports, Montana Senator Jon Tester is challenging the VA to be even better and help get even more signed up.
Veterans say the Veterans Administration is doing its best to implement the PACT Act and want to see continued oversight from Congress. The reviews coming in are mixed, but the Senate seemed to be pleased with what it heard from the VA at the hearing.
Who knows what we put in those burn pits? I mean, everything went in there.
Randy Stiles served in the U.S. Marine Corps and the U.S. Army and was deployed in Iraq in 2005 and 2006 when he was exposed to toxic burn pits. He's now the District 3 commander of the VFW Department of Montana and knows the veterans' medical needs.
The PACT Act is very, very, very important for the veterans now, for the veterans in the past, and the veterans in the future.
The Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson, honoring our promise to address Comprehensive Toxics Act of 2022, or PACT, aims to help toxic-exposed veterans with health care and benefits. The Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, chaired by Senator Tester, heard from the Veterans Administration about the law.
Veterans and their survivors have filed more than 772,000 PACT Act-related claims since August 10th. And thanks to the efforts of our dedicated staff, 425,000 of those claims have been completed, with a nearly 79% approval rate for PACT Act-related claims.
One veteran said on the phone that it has been difficult just logging into the system for PACT benefits, something other veterans have told Senator Tester.
It's also critically important VA works to make its website easy to find and even easier to navigate.
And the senator heard from Undersecretary Dr. Sharif Elnahal about a commitment to a review of the Montana VA healthcare system, which has processed about 4,000 PACT Act claims from veterans in the state.
I think this PACT Act is making a real difference in veterans. I hear from them all the time.
And the senator and the veterans say they will continue to hold the VA accountable and monitor the effectiveness of the PACT Act.
I did that for the love of my country because I was a veteran, and I think the country needs to love us back for what we did.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
Thank you, David. And another important note for veterans regarding the PACT Act, the window to apply and qualify for retroactive pay closes on August 9th. That does require a visit to your nearest VA office. If you can't make it there before the deadline, you can file an intent to file form on the Department of Veterans Affairs website. We'll have more on this process next week on Montana This Morning. And now we go to Helena, where a federal judge is weighing a major decision in a lawsuit challenging Montana's new state law restricting drag performances. Plaintiffs include a number of organizations and individuals now asking for a temporary restraining order. The law in question prohibits schools and libraries that receive state funding from hosting drag story hours, as well as, quote, sexually oriented performances in front of minors on public property or at a business. Plaintiffs say definitions in the bill are too vague and people don't know what they can and can't do.
What today's hearing really solidified is that nobody seems to know exactly what it says, and so we know Billings Pride happened, but there was no drag performances allowed on public property as a result of House Bill 359. And so again, the fact that there may be different interpretations of House Bill 359 is in and of itself evidence of a constitutional problem.
The constitutional question would be over chilled speech, of course, referencing the First Amendment. Attorneys for the state defended the law, arguing there isn't a risk of irreparable harm to the plaintiffs, which is required to pass a temporary injunction. They say the state has authority to restrict some conduct that may not be obscene in order to keep it away from minors. U.S. District Judge Brian Morris says he plans to issue a ruling on the request for a temporary restraining order as soon as possible. And in Crow Agency, somebody busted out windows and vandalized a historic church that's been in the community for over a century. Q2's Charlie Kleps updates us on the efforts to bring those responsible to justice.
The Crow Community Baptist Church has sat here for more than 130 years. It's a place that means a lot to the people of Crow Agency. But over the weekend, multiple windows were smashed out, and it's left many wondering why.
It means a lot to me because I come here and I feel comforted.
For Lark Reelbird, this is a place of sanctuary.
It's to me remained the same ever since I was a child, and I have this connection to my great-grandmother and other family members that attended here.
The church has been around for more than a century. Reelbird believes it's one of the first structures ever built in Crow Agency.
This is to me, like a vintage building. And so for somebody to vandalize it, that just made me sad.
It kind of made you angry when I first heard it.
Sean Backbone grew up in the church's Sunday school. He says seeing multiple windows boarded up is maddening.
I mean, it's hit a lot of homes, I guess, but why do they want to do it to a church? You know, it's kind of been a staple here for a long time.
Part of what makes the church special is the effort they made to still respect traditional Crow beliefs.
They accepted the Baptists, and because of the cultural awareness, there's some pictures in there. If you see them, they were dressed in Crow regalia.
Church officials don't believe the crime will be solved. There is no news as of now about an investigation.
The next step is just to kind of, I guess, try to fix what was broken and rebuild and move on.
They may forgive, but it's not something Reelbird will forget anytime soon.
It's always been a part of this community, and to me that was disrespecting our ancestors and the people before us. I don't know who it is, but I hope that they don't do this anymore.
In Crow Agency, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Thank you, Charlie. In national news this morning, lawmakers on Capitol Hill hear stunning claims that the military is hiding evidence of alien life from the American people. Former intelligence officer David Grush testified before a House committee, saying he suspects the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, or UAP office, is covering up a decades-long program to retrieve crashed objects. He also says the U.S. likely has been aware of non-human activity since the 1930s and may be in possession of non-human life forms. The Pentagon has denied Grush's claims. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell sparked concern on Capitol Hill when he froze and stopped talking near the top of his weekly news conference. He was escorted away by colleagues, including Montana Senator Steve Daines, before returning a few minutes later to answer reporters' questions. A McConnell aide said the 81-year-old GOP lawmaker felt lightheaded and needed to step away for a moment. Back here in Billings, a favorite summer job for Billings teenagers turned into a bit of a belly flop this year. Lifeguards missed out on hours and pay during our abnormally rainy June. Rose Park's pool was closed many more days than usual, leading to a 40% reduction in revenue compared to last summer. Some teens lost about a month's worth of pay. Others even left to find other jobs.
A lot of us are lucky to be in high school and have parents support us, but we have some, and even our pool managers, that do some of this for a living and need the money for it.
Rose Park's pool was packed yesterday. Officials are hoping numbers show a banner July to pick up for some of that lost revenue.